All right, well, welcome back to Introduction to Programming with Python. Alongside Susan Ibach, I am Christopher Harrison, and where we last left our hero, which was much more difficult for me to say than it should have been, what we did was we displayed out string literals. So what happened was Susan was doing the demos, she typed something out, she put it inside a print, and it printed out on the screen, which is certainly something that you are going to be doing, things like error messages, prompts, and the like. But at some point, we want our program to be interactive. At some point, we need to get something from the user that if I just simply go in and hard code that this is always going to display this, I'm sort of limiting the reusability of that program. So now we want to get into working with input from the user. We want to get into actually making things a bit more dynamic. And that's exactly what we're going to do with Module 3, which is going to be string variables, variables in general, and getting the user to input in a value.
Yeah, absolutely. We can be a lot more interactive when we've got a user telling us things as we go.
Exactly, yeah, two-way conversation. We're having a two-way conversation. See how that works? It allows you to do more. So then that way, if you want to be able to handle payment information on a website or put in your address so that way people know where to ship your products, they can go ahead and do that. If you're dealing with information about insurance policies, if you're looking to set up really any form of calculation, where is it? I should go ahead and grab it here. There we go. Go ahead and grab. I love this thing.
Cortana.
Yeah. Ask Cortana to tell you a joke. By the way, for those of you who do have Windows Phone 8.1, ask Cortana to do an impersonation or to do an impression.
Oh, I haven't. Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've asked Cortana where Master Chief is, and I've asked Cortana for a few jokes and had a few good ones. My personal favorite Cortana joke, a Roman walks into a bar and holds up 2 fingers and says, 5 beers, please. All right, on that note,
yeah, so
back
moving right along. All right. So the question is then, how do we get input from the user? So for right now, again, we're kind of keeping things relatively down low. And so you're going to notice that we're not going to be building up web pages. We're not going to be doing voice recognition or anything like that. But the principles still stay the same. So regardless of where the user is actually entering in the information, be it on a touch keyboard, be it via voice, the fact of the matter is that you're still going to be getting textual data in from a user somehow. So a lot of the concepts that we're going to be going over are still going to apply regardless of where you are. That being said, we are going to stick with the command line, and I think that's always a great way to learn a programming language.
Just one less thing to worry about in the short term.
Exactly. I don't want to set up a button in an event handler in a text box, and you know what? Just let's keep it nice and simple. When we're focused on the language syntax, let's do that. And so that's what we want to do here. So the question then becomes, well, how do we ask the user for information? So let's take a look at my slide here. And right here is a little bit of a basic command. So I'm going to highlight that first part right there, that little input. And input is the command that you're going to use to get information from the user. So you can almost think of this as the opposite to print, that if print is displaying information, input is how you're getting input from the user.
Yep.
Now, the way that input is going to work, and we'll see this when I get in and do my demo here in a moment, is you're going to notice right here that we've got the opportunity to display a prompt. That if all of a sudden we just simply said input, and I'm just looking at a blank screen with a cursor, not going to exactly know what it is that I'm supposed to type. So fortunately, input allows us to add in a prompt. So we can go in and say, what is your name? What is your quest? What is your favorite color? Whatever it is that we want to put into there, we can now prompt the user for that. So I'm going to break this down again into kind of 2 parts. Part 1 input, that's the command, accept information from the user. And then part 2 is going to be that little prompt, and that's what's now going to display out to get something back from the user. Now, there's also this little thing right here, name. Now, let's kind of go with English here. Name in English, of course, means, well, name.
A person's name?
Yeah, a person's name.
Or a thing's name?
A thing's name. It's how you're going to identify something. So you're going to notice, if we go back to the code here, what is your name? Well, we'd obviously expect somebody to type in their name. So we've got this little thing over here called name. Now, we're going to talk about what this thing is in a minute here. For right now, though, let's treat that tantamount to magic. Let's not worry too much about that. Trust me, this is one of those things where you just have to kind of go with us here. Promise. We will, absolutely will explain what all of that means. Promise you. We're just not going to do it quite yet. So for right now, we're just going to focus in on that part right there. That's all that we're going to focus in on. So again, that input function allows us to get information in, and it's going to give us back whatever it is that the user typed in. So whatever the user typed in, that's now what we're going to get back. And then you are going to notice that we can use a variable to remember what was entered in. Again, we're going to talk more about variables here in a couple of minutes. So kind of just
we'll get into that.
Stick with us there. Now you are going to notice that we could call it whatever we want. So if you wanted to go in and maybe just call that, for example, Wibble instead of name, you could go in and do that. It'll work.
It'll work.
Won't make any sense, but it will work. So you're going to notice right here, we're already teaching you a bit of a good programming style here. Use names that make sense. So if you look at a name of something and you're going, I don't know what it is that that's supposed to do, take another look at the name that you've got, because you've probably got a bad name there. Okay. So let me go to Visual Studio here. Let's go in and take a look at a demo. Get out of my slide deck here. Okay, so let me go in and create a brand new project. So just File, New Project, Python application, and module 3. And this is going to be strings and variables. There we go. And then let's go ahead and hit OK. All right, so again, we've got that little print hello world. I'm going to get rid of that.
Yep. Don't need that right now.
Exactly. And I'm actually just going to use the code that was on the slide there. So I'm just going to say name equals, and we'll say input. And, ooh, that looks kind of cool.
Yes.
We'll get to that.
Oh, yeah,
all right.
Absolutely.
In the meantime, what is your name?
What is your quest?
Exactly. All right. Now, what I'm going to do, so now we've got the what is your name here, is I'm going to kind of do this in chunks. So I'm just going to click Start up here. And sure enough, you're going to notice my screen prompts me and says, what is your name? Well, my name happens to be Christopher, so I'm going to type out Christopher. I'm going to hit Enter, and it just simply says, press the any key to continue. Not very exciting.
Yeah, but you know, maybe it took the value, but it did prompt you. You got to type something in.
I did get, yay, I got to type something in, yay! There was much rejoicing, yay. But yeah, so it at least prompted me for that, but you know, it didn't really do anything else with it. So I'm going to actually go one step further here just to kind of show that it did in fact store this. Let's go in and say print, and for right now I'm just going to say name.
Sure.
And now, once again, we'll go ahead and hit Start. I love these little touchscreens.
Yeah.
And let's go in and say, Christopher, Enter. And sure enough, it prints out Christopher.
Cool.
Fantastic.
You know, there was a neat little trick that somebody showed me with this, what I thought was kind of cool. And the way, you know how it shows the, you know, what is your name, and then the cursor's right after it? I ran into somebody who actually wanted the cursor to be on the next line.
Okay.
And I was like, that's an interesting little question. Like, how could I get the cursor to appear on the next line? And what they did is they actually used a print statement to say, what is your name? And then on the next line, they just said input nothing.
There you go.
So it put that way the cursor was on the next line. Kind of
Nice. Yeah. I like it. I like it.
Yep.
All right.
Creative coding.
Yeah. Exactly. And again, you know, it's one of those where there's certainly going to be numerous ways that you could do that. I suppose you could also do that with a backslash n. You know, so again, multiple ways to solve the exact same problem. So, but I do like that sort of print the display and then input separately.
Yeah,
yeah,
make for a cleaner screen sometimes.
Exactly, yeah. Yep. Cool. All right. So, now, I did tell you there was a little bit of magic there. We just simply had that little, NAME equals and input and blah, blah, blah. That's what we had. We should probably define a little bit better what that name was.